Today on What's Next.
We can't do this alone as physicians and clinical researchers, so we need your help.
Risk factors for heart disease are pretty much the same risk factors for Alzheimer's disease.
You have to face things as they are. You have to tell it like it is.
Hello and welcome to What's Next. I'm Mark Middleton, back with your weekly reminder that no matter our age or our circumstances, we all have a say in our what's next. We might be limited in some ways, but we're not defined by our age, our bank account, or our diagnosis. The only real limitations we have are those that we set for ourselves. Today we're going to talk about brain health, something we're all anxious to have, and yet none of us really wants to talk about Alzheimer's disease. And that's important because the global economic burden of Alzheimer's will exceed a staggering $10 trillion in less than 30 years. And the personal impact to nearly every family in America is devastating. Florida now has the nation's highest percentage of adults 65 and older and accounts for 10% of all Alzheimer's cases in the U.S. Public health officials are sounding the alarm. Investment in research is exploding, and companies like K2 Medical Research in Central Florida are working around the clock to inform and educate those in their community about major advancements in prevention and treatment.
It's called the silent epidemic.
Everybody's at risk. This disease does not discriminate.
I think the cost of not effectively addressing this issue will be unbearable.
1 in 3 people die with the disease over 65.
Number one risk for developing this disease process is age, right? So in this one, we're all together.
But there's a major problem. As individuals, we don't want to think about it, talk about it, or test for it.
They tell you straightforward, I don't want to know if there's something this serious waiting for me. I don't want to know, when it should be the opposite.
The only way that we're going to be able to find a cure is to talk about it. We have to make people comfortable talking about it.
I think that people feel like there is no hope, and the hope is there. We're seeing with multiple medications now that it either slows or reverses the progression.
We now know that the disease occurs 10 to 20 years, almost 2 decades before the onset of symptoms.
While there still is no cure, there is more hope than ever. The key to preventing or slowing its progression is early detection.
We have the potential to treat that disease early with the hopes of preventing symptoms from ever occurring.
Yes, there's multiple blood tests, very simple blood test that gets done. You get the results back in like 3 weeks, and it actually shows a protein that's forming potentially 10 to 20 years prior to having symptoms.
The science is there, the treatments are there.
You just have to be bold enough to take the test and see your healthcare provider on a regular basis. And so I try to do that.
For the most part, these screening tests, medications, and treatments are only available in clinical trials, which today are safe and highly controlled with multiple levels of oversight.
The level of care that you get is exceptional.
It's like tomorrow's treatments today. We have access to what we'll be using clinically in 5 years or 10 years.
One of the reasons why I enrolled is because my father passed away from complications of Alzheimer's. And when I found out about the study, I said, let's find out if I might have any factors that could lead to having that myself.
Well, I started the infusion last month, and I'm on my second one now. And I feel much better, like my mind works a little better.
In clinical trials, we can give patients hope, and we can give them the opportunity to go on treatment that could have a life-changing impact on them and their family and their community.
Together, Growing Bolder and K2 are working to create a community-wide conversation to share the good news that hope and help are available.
I've gone through colon cancer, breast cancer, and I'm not afraid to talk about it because you're giving knowledge to the people that are afraid to do that.
There's help out there. That's the important thing. There's help out there.
It's critical that we all take an active role in participating in research so that we can find a cure, so that the generations that are coming behind us, that's one less thing that they have to worry about.
We can't do this alone as physicians and clinical researchers. We need everybody to step up and kind of make a difference and volunteer. So we need your help.
There's a lot of hope. The diagnosis doesn't define you.
This is not the end of your life. You can still sing and have dementia. You can still run and have dementia. You can still enjoy your favorite meal and have dementia. Don't be afraid of the symptoms.
Join the conversation, ask questions, share your stories, your fears, and your hopes. Get tested, volunteer for clinical trials, and make the kind of daily lifestyle choices that support a healthy brain.
Anything that we can do to help reduce our risk, whether it's sleep, whether it's eating well, whether it's exercise, being social, drinking water, anything that we can do to reduce our risk is important.
This disease takes so much from families. I really think the time is now and the time is right for Central Florida as a community to come together and share those painful moments, share those fears, those uncertain moments, but also do what we do best, share the hope that we feel about the progress that we can make with this dreadful disease.
Do something good for your heart, and you're going to do something good for your brain.
Welcome back to What's Next. Two of our biggest health concerns, two of our biggest health fears are heart disease and Alzheimer's, and it's with good reason. Heart disease has been the leading cause of death in the United States for 100 years now, and Alzheimer's is one of the fastest growing diseases. But here's what may be the greatest twofer in personal health care: a healthy heart and a healthy brain. You can't improve the health of one without improving the health of the other. The two are inextricably connected, which is why we're excited to have Dr. Cody Sipe on our team. Dr. Sipe is an author, professor, researcher, and a renowned expert on cognitive fitness.
The link between heart disease and Alzheimer's disease has been clearly established in the literature. Risk factors for heart disease are pretty much the same risk factors for Alzheimer's disease. Things like hypertension, dyslipidemias, insulin resistance, being overweight, and chronic inflammation. These are risk factors for both. And in fact, the relationship is so strong that about 80% of those with Alzheimer's disease also have cardiovascular disease. So if you really want to set up your future to have a healthy brain and try to maximize your prevention against Alzheimer's disease, you need to think about having a healthy heart. How do you do that? Well, the good news is there's lots of research to show that all of the risk factors can be completely resolved, and even heart disease can be reversed with an appropriate lifestyle medicine intervention. That is, your lifestyle is really the key to preventing heart disease and maybe the key to preventing Alzheimer's disease as well. Dr. Dean Ornish, as early as the 1990s, demonstrated a simple approach to reversing heart disease that included regular aerobic activity, eating a healthy, whole food, plant-based diet that's low in fats, high in fiber, stressing less, and loving more. That simple four-pronged approach has been effective with cardiovascular disease and is also part of the standard recommendations for preventing Alzheimer's disease as well. So do something good for your heart, and you're going to do something good for your brain.
And you have to live every day.
Welcome back to What's Next. Today we're engaging in a conversation that we all need to be open to. When it comes to brain health and all forms of dementia, there is reason for concern, but also there's reason for encouragement. Progress is being made, new drugs become available, and we're learning more about living with Alzheimer's from an increasing number of people who are willing to talk about, to share their experience. Eugenia Zuckerman is, by all accounts, a brilliant woman with an amazing life. She's a world-class flautist, a creative director, author, and playwright. For 25 years, she was the arts correspondent on CBS Sunday Morning and is now living with Alzheimer's disease. With the time that she has, Eugenia is doing everything she can to reach out to those who are dealing with things like dementia or even isolation and loneliness. She wrote this amazing book that's called Like Falling Through a Cloud, and it's a book of poems filled with the most heartfelt, eye-opening insights into what it's like to face a life-threatening challenge. Here's a portion of her conversation with Bill Schaefer.
I don't look at my disease with fear. It doesn't hurt. There is no physical pain. What hurts is the knowledge that my life on this planet will not be as long as I would like it to be. But that knowledge makes me even more positive. I do wake up in the morning with an excitement that a new day has dawned. I can't wait to explore it, to devour it, to enjoy it. My life is blessed with joy.
You know, something else that makes you fascinating is the fact that your two careers, both in music and as a correspondent on television, you needed to be your best. You needed to be perfect. You needed to have every note memorized and reproduced exactly where it should be. Here you are, though, taking a real risk. I should mention it is your husband next to you, helping you with occasional forgetful moments and words, but being brave enough to come on and do interviews with people. Aren't you worried that someone will say, wow, look at all she forgot?
No, because I'll forget that what they've asked, what I've forgotten before you asked it.
Wait a minute, this isn't supposed to be funny. Alzheimer's not funny.
It isn't funny, but the point is you have to face things as they are. You have to tell it like it is. Don't tell me like, oh, you're going to feel so much better in 3 weeks. You know, excuse me. I've read the material. I know it's downhill from here. However, the downhill isn't at speed warp. That's because I forgot how to ski, actually. But I am not laughing at what this is. This is a very serious disease that has to be conquered, and it will be conquered. But at this point, we have to do the things that we know how to do to make us, meaning those of us who have Alzheimer's, we have to just stay as positive as we possibly can. You have to live every day. Get up in the morning, get out of bed, go outside, play with the birds. I mean, I'm very lucky. I'm in this beautiful part of the country, and we have had so much snow, etc. And we have horses and we have dogs, and it's paradise. But it's paradise in New York as well. It's paradise wherever you make it.
Right, your life does not end with your diagnosis. You still have good days, fun days, heart-filling days. And sometimes I think that it's caregivers that need the most help because we don't always know what the right thing to do is. You have a caregiver that allows you to be out with the horses, who allows you to do these interviews, to play your music, to be who you are at this moment. That must mean everything.
One thing that really amazed me was at a book signing, a lovely gentleman came up and bought 6 books, and he said to me, I cannot thank you enough because I'm now able to tell my family what it's like to have Alzheimer's disease. And you must stop, treating me as if I'm a piece of paper. And I think that family and the person who has Alzheimer's, it's a very interesting and intricate combination. Because I'm not always laughing about it, but I think it would be strange if my family weren't watching me and saying, hey, you should do this, or maybe you oughtn't to do that. I wonder if I could read a short poem from my book about.
Oh, we would love that.
This is called Marbles. Maybe mine are lost. Or maybe they're rolling around in my head looking for a place to land. Or maybe not. My daughters tell me to get tested. Tested for what, I ask, even though I know for what. But it's for what I don't want to know. So I let the marbles roll around in a swirl of distracting colors because I don't want to listen to them, the daughters. Because if I hear them, I will be very afraid. And this mother cannot be that mother, not ever, never.
Man, what an insightful perspective and an important one for all of us to hear. One of the world's leading advocates and educators for anybody that's living with dementia or other forms of brain change is Teepa Snow. Through her Positive Approach to Care training group, Teepa helps healthcare professionals and families grow their dementia care awareness, their knowledge, and their skills to ultimately improve the quality of life for people who are living with dementia. Teepa says that dementia doesn't rob someone of their dignity. It's our reaction to them that does. When I had the opportunity to interview Teepa earlier this year, she spoke about the shifts in perspective that are necessary for family members who are caring for those with dementia. I saw my father ask my mother, "What's for lunch?" 8 times in 15 minutes, and she got very frustrated, made him feel like he
was an idiot.
He was an idiot. How do you answer that question?
So you're wanting to know what we're having for lunch?
I do.
Yeah. Now, were you thinking something hot or cold?
I would like a sandwich.
You want a sandwich. Well, you know what? Sounds like a great idea. Come with me and look at what we've got in the refrigerator, because I would prefer making something you like. So come with me. Now, what just happened?
You've sucked me into something where I'm busy and I'm engaged.
So what was happening for you while I was fixing lunch? Or even before that? What was happening to that time for you, for your dad?
Nothing.
Nothing. So what could he do to interact with his spouse? What are we having for lunch? Because he didn't know how to fill that void. And because she didn't have the skill to do something different, it became confrontational. Because she was trying to do something and he just kept asking the same question over and over and over. It's like, yeah, he will, because he's trying to connect. And he doesn't know what else to do. And he feels sort of useless.
Teepa Snow is a renowned expert on caring for those with dementia. Our Bode Social Clip of the Week comes from an expert on preventing dementia. Dr. Daniel Amen is a psychiatrist and a renowned brain disorder specialist who says the mantra, "Don't worry, be happy," is not the prescription for a happy life or a long, healthy life.
One of the lies of happiness is don't worry, be happy. I always wanted to be like my older brother, who he's a don't worry, be happy person. He leaves work at 3 o'clock, he's on the golf course, and he's 150 pounds overweight. And it just makes me crazy for him. I've always had some angst, some anxiety. And there's a study out of Stanford where they looked at 1,540 10-year-old children in 1921. And then they followed them for the next 90 years, looking with what goes with success, health, and longevity. The only thing that those 10-year-olds showed that predicted success, health, and longevity was conscientiousness. The don't worry, be happy kids died the earliest from accidents and preventable illness.
Welcome back to What's Next. I'm Mark Middleton. Are you following Growing Bolder on our social channels? We got TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And each week we share inspiring reels and stories, as well as questions to get your take on subjects like today's topic, brain health. Alzheimer's is a disease affecting millions of people and their families and friends. And the one thing we hear from patients and caregivers alike is that the journey can feel very lonely. That's why we're committed to creating an ongoing community-wide conversation on brain health in every community, including our own social media community. Here's our Your Take question for this week. How has dementia impacted your life or relationships? What do you want others to know? Just log on to Facebook and let us know. Both of my parents had Alzheimer's, and we as a family were unprepared for it. Most everyone was, and many still are. We didn't know what to do or what not to do. We didn't know about people like Teepa Snow, who could not just tell us, but show us how to communicate with them. We didn't have people like Eugenia Zuckerman willing to share their thoughts about having the disease. We didn't have access to people like Dr. Daniel Amen telling us how to keep our brains healthy. And we didn't have companies like K2 Medical Research with new tests that can detect evidence of Alzheimer's 20 or more years before symptoms appear, providing options to delay or slow the progression. We didn't know that lifestyle choices we make today can prevent the disease from ever developing, even if we are genetically predisposed to getting it. The first patient to be cured of Alzheimer's may very well be in a clinical trial today. So, get tested, make positive lifestyle changes, and treat those living with dementia with dignity, because no matter what, they still have the ability to experience love and joy. They still have the ability to live in the moment, and isn't that something we're all trying to get a little bit better at? We'll see you next time.